Well, hello, ladies. It's really good right after, during my honeymoon to come back to conservative, beautiful women like you guys. So thank you for making this honeymoon even better. So I'm really glad to be here and to talk to you guys about why gun rights are women's rights. So just a few months ago, and it's passed since the midterms, and one thing is clear. Democrats are as determined to promote gun control as ever before. Representative Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has vowed to take action on common sense background checks to prevent guns going into the wrong hands. In her words, gun control will be a priority for us in the next Congress. One would have to be blind to not see that the gun control debate will again be a priority in the Democratic presidential nomination elections. Show of hands. You guys, show of hands of telling me who actually watched the debate just a couple of days ago, or the last couple of days. Okay, yeah, so you guys know the circus that's going on right now. Thankfully, I was getting married, so I didn't have to watch that, but we already know, that it's going to continue to be that way, and that gun control, more than ever before, will be something that they're going to be talking about. But you don't have to spend time talking or watching or listening to the news on the national level to hear the progressive agenda for gun control. Probably now, more than ever before, the gun control movement is rampant on the state level. From the push to change the rifle purchase age from 18 to 21, which began in Florida, to the so-called red flag laws newly passed in Colorado that spits on the right to due process in the courts. The left has suddenly become a big fan of states' rights when it comes to the effort to curb our Second Amendment right. Jason Crow, a newly elected Democratic House member from Colorado, put it this way: our community has been disproportionately impacted by gun violence over the years, from the Aurora Theater shooting to Columbine. He then promised to do something about it. Unfortunately, what Democrats want to do about this so-called gun violence won't make Americans safer. Restricting access to firearms will only make us less safe, as we lose the ability to properly defend ourselves. The left glorifies feminism, but gun control is disproportionately harmful to women like me, who depend on firearms as the great equalizer in a threatening situation. The left's obsession with gun control is part of the reason why I dedicate my life to empowering and educating Americans about the Second Amendment and how it helps save lives every single day. That's why I started Empowered, a movement of women across the country who believe that firearms are empowering to women. Whether you're a college student, a tenured professor, or a mother visiting her child on a college campus, having the ability to properly utilize a firearm for self-defense is not only a right, it's true female empowerment. For the record, I didn't always believe this way. I didn't always appreciate the power of a gun as a self-defense mechanism, as the great equalizer. That's probably because I didn't really grow up around firearms. In fact, I didn't grow up around much at all. My family, we grew up on reduced lunches and received Christmas presents from the Angel Tree program, which is a program for children of prisoners currently. When I was young, my father was sent away to prison for 20 years. Leaving me without a male role model. My mother, a Nigerian immigrant, took it upon herself to raise me and my 3 siblings. To this day, my mom is the greatest feminist I've ever known. She kept our household together through strength and love. Following in her footsteps, it didn't take long for me to become a feminist too. From a young age, I wanted women to have all the rights and all the opportunities that men have. In graduate school, I became a student and then later a teacher of feminism, teaching inner city high school girls about the feminist movement and its impact on public policy. Being a student of history, I came to realize that the ghost of feminism past barely resembles the feminism that we see today. Modern day feminism has little in common with those like Susan B. Anthony, who played a pivotal role in the women's suffrage movement during the 19th century. Fun fact, Anthony was passionately pro-life, even calling abortion child murder. Can you imagine today's #MeToo feminists saying something like that today? It just wouldn't happen. And so, I grew more and more disenchanted with modern day feminism, the sort of liberal feminism that the #MeToo movement has thrown into the spotlight. I came to see today's feminism for what it was, a political movement that treats women as victims and scapegoats feminism for what it was. Feminism isn't pro-women anymore. It's just vindictively anti-men. Terms like patriarchy are thrown around with no context and no justification whatsoever. Of course, this is not to say that there are no evil men in this world. There are plenty of them. But guess what? There are evil women too. Sexual assault is indeed an issue in our society. I myself am a sexual assault survivor. So I know firsthand that sexual violence of any kind is disgusting and deplorable. I know how sexual assault can ruin lives. It changed mine forever. But I now realize that the modern feminist movement places too much emphasis on the perpetrator and life after a sexual assault. It places far too little emphasis on a woman's life before the assault and how the assault could have been prevented. If sexual violence is indeed disgusting and deplorable, shouldn't women be able to defend themselves from it? I asked myself, what could I do as a woman to stop a man from assaulting me? The answer became clearer and clearer. The right to bear arms. Firearms are the great equalizer, leveling the playing field of women who are physically inferior to men. The realization transformed me into the Second Amendment advocate that I am today. In graduate school, I wanted to be able to choose how I defended myself and where. But living on a college campus, I couldn't choose either. Concealed carry was not an option. So I made it a mission to make concealed carry an option for women across the country. The #MeToo movement steals the headlines these days, but I'm more interested in the #NotMe movement. The movement to promote self-defense, protect women from harm, and prevent tragedies like sexual assault from ever taking place. Unfortunately, there's a lot of work still to do. Just a few months ago in my home state of Texas, a woman was sexually assaulted by an armed man near the Texas Medical Center in Houston. She was forced into a van, her clothes were ripped off, and she was unarmed. Later that month, a University of North Florida student was sexually assaulted at an on-campus housing center. She went to a college party where she was drugged, then physically assaulted and abused. She was unarmed. A couple of years ago, a female student was kidnapped at gunpoint at the University of Las Vegas, Nevada parking garage. She was sexually assaulted at a separate location, only getting away, and this is a part that the media is not going to ever publicize, only getting away when she took his gun and fled. I ask you, why wasn't she in a situation where she could use her own gun to protect herself? Tragedies like these strike far too often. In 2008, Amanda Collins, a UNLV student and concealed carry permit holder, was assaulted by a serial rapist in a parking garage. That same rapist would go on to rape and murder a young woman after Amanda. Again, why didn't she have a means to protect herself? Let me share one more heartbreaking story with you. The story of Savannah Lindquist, which I've received permission to talk about this story. 2 years ago, Savannah was a senior at Temple University in Philadelphia, her dream school. One night, she invited a man who was casually dating to her off-campus apartment. She thought that she could trust him. She was wrong. Within hours, the man pushed Savannah onto her bed, where he raped her. Savannah tried to fight back, but the man was carrying a pocket knife, so she felt powerless. Only one thing could have prevented the rape from taking place: a gun. In fact, Savannah had grown up around guns. She owned a pistol back home, hundreds of miles away in Virginia. But Temple University prohibited concealed carry. So Savannah's gun was 300 miles away during her senior year. 300 miles away when the man raped her. Notice a trend here? Let me put the tragedy in Savannah's words, and I'm quoting now. "I knew what was going to happen, but I was defenseless. My gun was 300 miles away in Virginia. I had, and still have, a concealed carry permit. But my Second Amendment rights didn't exist on my college campus. I begged him to stop, but he ripped off my clothes and raped me." That's right. Quote, "My Second Amendment rights didn't exist on my college campus." This is unacceptable in the United States of America. Gun-free zones do nothing but leave innocent women like Savannah, like me, like all of you, vulnerable in the face of danger. Criminals are essentially given a free pass to commit crimes, some of the most heinous crimes imaginable. Let me ask you, how would these women's lives be different if they were armed? If they were able to protect themselves? Would they carry the physical and emotional scars that they do now? That we'll never know. Is tragic in itself. That's why I never stop fighting for concealed carry permits in Florida and Texas and across the country to protect women like Savannah, women in the audience tonight. Gun rights are women's rights. Only firearms can establish a physical parity between the sexes. I'll leave you with good news. It's possible. We can get there. A safer America where self-defense is accessible to all. My organization, Empowered, will do its best to get us there, to keep us fighting for concealed carry on college campuses. We will keep fighting for gun rights that not only give women protection, but also hope for the future. Defending the Second Amendment, ladies, is a feminist issue. The way I see it, it's impossible to be a feminist without believing so. Because the right to bear arms defends millions of women every single year. Don't let anti-gun Democrats tell you otherwise. Don't pin all your hopes on the hashtag #MeToo movement. Let's focus on the hashtag #NotMe movement. Because armed Americans are safe Americans. But ladies, even more importantly, armed women are safe women. Thank you.
If anyone has any questions for Antonia, you can come back here and line up next to this pink X. Hi, just say your name and where you're from and then ask your question.
Okay, sure. My name is Kate, and I'm actually from Texas, and
awesome.
I go to college in Texas. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing and like actually how you were able to get to the point where we can have concealed carry on campuses there.
Yeah, where in Texas are you from?
I go to Angelo State University, so it's like the West Texas area.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, I had no because, you know, Texan. Yeah, so it was a lot of things, and that's definitely not just me. It was definitely other organizations that were really pushing for it. When I got into the movement, it was 2015. This was the third time that we were trying to pass campus carry and through the state legislators. So, and in Texas, we have our session every other year, not every year like most states. So, yeah, that's one thing there is that people tend to think that, oh, it's Texas, of course they're going to be a pro-gun state. There are many other things that I can talk about that we are not pro-gun on, including not passing constitutional carry this time, but it did take 3 times in order for us to actually pass campus carry. And really, just like any type of legislation, it's pushing it through and talking to your state legislators, by, you know, creating relationships with them. But most importantly, really to bring it to the public. Because at the end of the day, people think it's Texas and it's fine. We don't need anybody to push it through. But we have to have people educated on the fact that just because you're a pro-gun state doesn't mean that I'm sure you guys know this with your administrators on your campus, that most of the administrators, regardless of how southern or conservative the state is, tends to be very anti-gun because they are very authoritarian in the thinking that they don't trust you as an individual, even though you're an adult, to be able to protect yourself. But yet, you see all these crimes happening on campus. And so, the problem is that it's a business, and they don't want people to know that, because then the parents wouldn't let their students go to that school. So it's up to us, and it was up to me and the other organizations to bring that to light, to say that if you are really about empowering me as an individual, empowering me as a student, and you want me to be safe, then if you're allowing me to conceal carry off campus, I should have that same right to have protection on campus, because you're not doing a very good job. And so we did a lot of that, and a lot of just showing the public of what was truly the situation on college campuses, and that we are best to protect ourselves. So that's what we did a lot of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Renee. I go to Biola University
Hi.
in California. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Absolutely.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
My question was a little bit twofold. One is, what are common myths that you think is important that we'd be able to refute when we're talking to our peers and winsomely and well and engaging that? And then also, how would you respond if we were to talk about more self-defense? Why guns in particular over other self-defense methods?
Okay, so for the first one, wow, I get that question a lot, and it usually depends, but in the context of college campuses or in just women in general, I think that's one part of it, is that unfortunately, so many people believe that they're in this safe bubble on college campuses, that, you know, we paid for the right to be safe on college campuses, and therefore we're going to be safe. And that's just not true. Unfortunately, that's just not the world that we live in. And so I think showing that aspect of things, talking about the instances like I talked about in my speech of the people who unfortunately didn't realize that until it was too late for them, and how having a concealed carry permit and having the ability to protect themselves on campus could have saved those lives. I think at the end of the day, testimonies are really what changes hearts and minds. You can bring out all the facts, and there's plenty of facts and data behind concealed carry permit holders, for one of being the most law-abiding population. In fact, in 2005 in Texas, we used that. In 2005, they did a study showing that the concealed carry permit holder population is actually more law-abiding than the regular general population. So things like that really help people feel, because there's so much misinformation out there that they're watching, listening to in the media and the news, that they're really fearful and scared because of the facts that are not really presented to them, that would actually give them the case that, you know what, I can trust law-abiding, I can trust concealed carry permit holders to be safe with that firearm that they have, but also that they're not going to do something to harm me. But also in the future, if I do need someone to help me or protect me, that I can look to them to protect me. So I think that's really the biggest thing, is using those facts to show that we are law-abiding people, that we are safe people, and that you really want those people on your side when something happens, because this is the world and something's going to happen. And then the second question, I think, can you repeat that?
Yeah, just how do you respond to people saying, well, there's other self-defense methods?
Yeah, so that's one thing I've always been very open to, is that, look, no one's telling you that you have to have a firearm. In fact, I don't want you to have one unless you are going to take the responsibility of how to use it and use it safely. That's the gun community. That's always been our mantra, is to use things safely. But at the end of the day, a firearm versus pepper spray or pepper blaster, which they're great means of other self-defense tools that are non-lethal, or taser, the gun is always going to win. It will always win, and that is why criminals use that. You don't see them using pepper spray, you don't see them using tasers usually. It's usually, unfortunately, the gunpoint, because they're going to go to the fastest means of being able to intimidate and threaten you. So you need an equalizer, and that is why a gun is a great equalizer, and you only have to use it if you want to. That's what we're trying to say. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sydney Smalling. I'm from Missouri, and I go to Mizzou. I'm also in the School of Journalism, so
Awesome.
I'm kind of an oddball being a conservative there.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, obviously we have an issue with like campus shootings, mass shootings.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think allowing concealed carry on campuses can deter that problem?
Yeah, so the reason why people, or in general, it doesn't have to be a college campus, but college campuses are one of the biggest targets, because it's a complete, a total area, way bigger than a mall or any other type of, establishment, where they know for sure that it's a gun-free zone. And in general, over 97% of mass shootings happen in gun-free zones. So it doesn't matter where you are. If the criminal knows that they're going to be going into a place where those that they want to harm they're able to do so as fast as they can, and as many times as they can in a really small amount of time, they're going to go to that place, and that's a gun-free zone. So that alone is why criminals are going there. So if they're going to be deterred from going to a college campus where they know that they're not only people who have firearms, but they're people who have firearms that are concealed, and they don't know who's going to come out with one if they try to harm somebody. So it only deters more criminals, because criminals are not dumb in the fact that they don't want to go to a place where they're immediately going to be stopped if they try to harm somebody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chloe Shoemaker, and I also go to Mizzou. My question for you is maybe a little off topic, but I know that you have a background in pageants, and
Yes.
I really want to compete for Miss Missouri USA at some point
Awesome.
in my life, and I just wanted to know if you ever felt a bias toward you for being a conservative or having conservative opinions, being are thinking like guns empower women, or is it connected to the pro-life movement?
Oh yeah, unfortunately, ladies, I mean, if you guys watch Miss USA or Miss America, you guys already know by the questions that it is not a conservative-friendly environment, even there, not even the pageants. I will tell you, behind the scenes, it is very conservative. They just have, unfortunately, have a reputation to uphold. With not the right reputation, I will say. But I did compete in Miss Texas USA last year, so thank you for bringing up pageants. Yeah, I did that on the terms of I was going to be true to myself, and I was going to stick to my platform, which was gun rights or women's rights. And I remember going to the Miss Dallas panel, and the guy literally told me, and he wrote, trust me, I got all the notes, all in red, telling me that this is too pro-gun, and this is too conservative, and this is too pro-gun. I actually said, one of the questions was, who is a historic female that you admire? I put Margaret Thatcher, and all hell broke loose. Literally, he wrote across. He said, "This is too pro-gun too." I'm like, pretty sure she wasn't really talking about guns in England, but sure. Yeah, I actually, that was something I was very vocal about. Was the bias against women who, and of course, right now, this is what they're all talking about, is feminism and being female empowerment, especially Miss USA. But if you talk about being pro-life or being pro-gun, that's when it's too much. So I did not win Miss Texas USA, let's just say that. But I did have a lot of people come up to me and tell me that I was brave to stick to my platform and that they wished that they could be vocal about that. So unfortunately, sometimes in this world, even the pageant world, saying things like that, talking about being conservative is not something that's popular. But I believe if we don't have more people who are representing us in those arenas, and where I don't become not an anomaly anymore, then it will continue to get worse, and it will be something where our voices are drowned out. So I think it's important that you speak up, even if it means that one time, maybe the next time too, that you're not going to win, but at least you're changing hearts and minds in that environment, and emboldening other women who hear you to also speak that truth as well.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm from Utah, and I competitive pistol shoot, so I really appreciate the work you're doing for women. It's so awesome. So I was wondering if you could speak to what you like to carry, and the pros and cons between semi-automatics and revolvers.
Oh, okay. I will say I've never carried a revolver, so I can't tell you how that is day to day. I will give advice on that. People always ask me all the time, what's a good first gun? What do you carry? I carry, usually my everyday carry is a Kimber Bel Air 380. Just because I like to, the gun world is changing, ladies, but it still has a lot of work to do, let's just say. So I carry 380 just because of the frame, because it's something that is concealable for most of the clothes that I wear. I'm a dress girl. I'm sure a lot of you girls are dress girls. So when I do wear dresses, I usually thigh carry, and it's just a lot harder to carry a 45 than a 380. I will tell you guys that. And usually it prints. So for me, I have a 380, but I say find something that is going to be accessible what you wear. You guys know what you wear, so you know what's best for that. But then also something you're going to use every day. If you have a 45 and you feel that comfortable wearing that every day, then wear a 45, because you know what? 45 has a great stopping power, and that's important when it comes to the aspect of self-defense. But a 9 is very common too, and tends to have a smaller, thinner frame that a lot of girls tend to use more often when they carry. So that's okay as well. But yeah, I carry a 380, and then I know it was another question that you asked too. What was that? Is that it? Okay. All right. Yeah. Kimber Bel Air 380, Tiffany blue. Hi,
my name is Kier, and I'm from South Dakota. In recent Democrat debates, one of the candidates mentioned that you should have a license to own a gun, much like to drive a car. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. You should have a license to own a gun, they were advocating for that?
Yes, like similar to like you have license to drive a car. So
Okay, so I'm thinking that they were talking about, the only time that that's ever been used as a similarity is usually, oh, I see, meaning like that is, it should be a privilege, is that what they were saying? Okay, I can't say them be advocating for something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, which, yeah, so why it's not like a driver's license is that a driver's license is a privilege. Your right to carry, to keep and bear arms is a right. Is it a God-given right? It is not something that the government gives you and issues you like a license and ID. So no, I would say make sure that those type of narratives where it sounds like it should be something that everyone should agree with. At the end of the day, then when they always try to compare the car and the driver's license to your gun rights, a car is not God-given. Your right to your privilege to drive is not God-given. Your Second Amendment right is God-given, and so it's not going to be issued by the government. It's only supposed to be protected by the government. So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello. Hey.
Okay, I have 4 questions.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is, how did you get involved in your Second Amendment activism?
Okay. I got involved actually through the feminist movement because I finally realized that there was a part of the narrative and the rhetoric that was missing. It didn't go far enough. If I really wanted to protect my peers and the girls around me and myself, then why wouldn't I have the right to protect myself with a firearm? So I finally realized that the left was purposely keeping that from us because that wasn't really what their goal was. It was to push a radical leftist agenda and not really be about empowering women to the fullest abilities that they can. So that's why I got into the gun rights movement.
Okay. The second one is, what is your turning point into becoming conservative and speaking out?
Ooh, I like that turning point plug in there. Yeah. What was my turning point to getting conservative? Several different things, but I think what I became really passionate about because it affects me the most is the gun rights issue, because I saw the hypocrisy on the left with that and started to realize if they were lying to me about this and really keeping me from really seeing this issue for what it was, which was a true feminist issue, then what are other things that they're really trying to hide from me as well? And I started digging in on things from as boring as taxes to the pro-life movement of, if I really am about empowering other women, then why am I going to advocate for something that truly disempowers other women from even being born? So different things like that, different issues made me realize that, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a progressive, I am a conservative, and this is really truly where I'm going to feel most empowered.
Okay, my third question is, I see that you was going to run for office, but some things happened. So, are you going to run?
NRA board, by the way, that's what she's asking.
So, are you going to run for Congress then?
Oh, okay, that's where it was coming from. I just newly married, so I'm trying to just get, through my honeymoon. I don't know. I think I would like to in the future, definitely. I am involved. I'm the Young Republican National Committee woman for Colorado, so I'm doing a lot of stuff on that level. And I'm passionate about policy, but will I run for office? I'm not sure. I'm open to it, so thank you.
Okay, and my last question is that, may I please go shooting with you in Chicago?
Yes, you can. Come to Colorado, girl. Yeah, we're going to go shoot.
Also, congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you.
One more round of applause for Antonia.
Oh, and one thing, so Empowered is looking for interns as well. We're still taking interns for the summer and for the fall. So if you would like to intern for Empowered, email intern@empowered2a.org. So some really big things happening with that as well, and I can't wait for you guys to be a part of it. So thank you guys so much, and you guys have a great rest of the day.